Well, good morning, everybody. This is Pastor Jay going live with you from the Vicarage, and we're here today to do a Notes from the Vicarage post. Um, one of the categories that I keep on Notes from the Vicarage is a section called Projects at the Vicarage, and it strikes me that we haven't talked much about the projects that are ongoing here at the Vicarage. I always have projects going on, and I think it would be nice to talk about some of those projects and why we have those projects. Maybe a little bit of conversation about what the Vicarage is would be helpful here. The Vicarage is a house that was built in the year 1901. My sister says it's earlier, but I have traced it back as far as 1901. That still puts us at 126 years old, and it's a big house with a lot of interesting features. We have cone as one of the features of the house. So three of the rooms in the house are round and capped with a dome. And there are several other interesting features, including a stained glass window and some lead glass windows that were really popular items back in the early 1900s. So this is an older home. We had the house renovated back in 2021. So we put in all new plumbing because all the plumbing was bad. We replaced every pipe in the building. We had the house re-insulated. We had a new roof put on. We had new siding put on. We had all the trim painted. We had the sills replaced. We had the floors redone and the bathrooms and the kitchen renovated as well. And so we did a we were out of the house for almost 3 months. And the house was completely done over so that it was livable again. Before that, we were having trouble with working toilets, working sinks, all kinds of things that come along with a house that has seriously deteriorated over the years. During the course of that, once we had the plumbing replaced inside, the plumbing outside collapsed. I neglected to mention we had a wraparound stone porch that was literally caving in on itself. And I priced that out to have the porch replaced, and that was undoable according to our budget. So we had the stone porch ripped away, and we replaced it with a tiny courtyard that I use as a prayer space in the summer. But during the course of all that renovation, our outside pipes collapsed going to the street, and then the pipes going to the street to the main connection in the town also collapsed, and so we had to have those replaced. But we did that, like I said, back in 2021, 2022, and so now we are in a host of other projects, sort of cleanup projects. So what do the projects here for the winter look like? Well, we've talked about the chickens. I'm keeping the chickens alive. We're doing maintenance. Daily maintenance here at the Vicarage is pretty extensive, between sweeping all the hardwood floors and doing all that. And I do a better job at that sometimes than others. But there are 4 long-term projects that I'm working on. The first one is, now that the holidays are over, I am cleaning up from those holidays, but also doing a deep clean of the bedrooms upstairs to get ready for the next inhabitants of the Vicarage. My son and daughter-in-law and grandson were living here in the early parts of the last 2 years, and they moved into their own home recently, and now we're getting ready for who the next inhabitant will be, and we'll be talking about that more in the future. So I'm doing a deep clean and a deep organization, getting rid of a lot of stuff upstairs. We'll talk more about that in the days ahead. One of the other projects that I'm doing is I'm just sort of getting the Vicarage ready for trouble. A big part of my preaching lately has been how I see the world is going to go through some difficulties in the days ahead. I don't know exactly what that looks like, but I do know that I want our vicarage to be prepared. I wouldn't say I'm a prepper by any means um, of conversation, but I am doing things like stocking up and asking, well, say I can't buy groceries for a couple of weeks. Say there is some issues, and certainly we had that during pandemic. Getting supplies into the house became more problematic. So I'm stocking up now on some things that I think we'll need for supplies. Third, when you're in a house this big, there is significant leak of air, particularly during the winter. And so we had, the last few days I wrote yesterday about how one of the things that climate change has produced in this region is this new wind, which is just really difficult for me to navigate. It kind of makes me angry, it puts me on edge, whatever. But we've had this wind, it blew all night last night, and we're realizing more, or I'm realizing more this year, how much our windows actually leak. So my daughter Melanie came in yesterday, and we did things like we wrapped the stained glass window and the windows in the book nook to help. Now that significantly shut off some of the leak in the stairwell, and so now we're getting ready for I'm going to feel where else we have leaks, and we're going to continue to work on that project throughout the days ahead. Major cleanup upstairs. We're working on air leak, and we're also working on getting the vicarage ready for what is to come. Finally, I just kind of want to talk about the projects here at the vicarage that have to do with writing and art, because that's a big part of who we are as people as well. And it's not something that I've been able to really work on very much. But one of the things I would love to create here, along with really creating the prayer space here at the vicarage, as I work on the garden plan for next spring, and I'm already beginning to think in that vein. But along with the prayer space, I want to create an artistic space here at the vicarage so that creativity can continue to be part of who we are. One of the things I've done is I've moved my piano here from the church so that I can play during the week. But there are other things that I want to do, and so we'll be talking more about these things, these projects, these 4 projects, creating better art and prayer space as part of the garden space, dealing with continuing to insulate the vicarage through the winter, talking about preparing for the days of trouble ahead, and finally getting the upstairs ready and getting the upstairs squared away for the next inhabitants of the vicarage. All right, until we meet again, God bless you and be at peace.